Unit 2, Learning Target number 6. Write and solve one-step equations from real-world problems. Let's devote some time just to solving word problems with equations. Here's one. Eli wants to buy the new Dungeons of Destruction video game. He started off with $35. He did yard work for his father over the weekend, and now he has $53. How much did his father pay him for the yard work? That's what we want to know. How much did his father pay him for the yard work? Well, let's try to model this with an equation. He started off with $35, so we know he had $35. And we know he did some yard work, but we don't know how much he got paid, so we'll just leave a little circle here for that. We do know, however, that once he got this and this, when you combine them together, you got $53. Right? Because he added the 35 to whatever is in here, and he got 53. If we just replace this with a variable, we'll replace it with v for video game, then we have an equation for our problem. V plus 35 is equal to 53. Now we just need to solve that equation. V plus 35 is equal to 53. We subtract 35 using our inverse operations to get v all by itself. And whatever we do to the left side, subtracting 35, then we also do to the right side. Cross that out. That leaves us with v plus 0, which is just v. And then we subtract 35 from 53. You can't get 5 from 3, so we have to borrow 1 from here, and that gives us 13. 13 minus 5 is 8. And that leaves us with 1. So v is equal to 18. And we can check our answer. We'll substitute in 18 for our v, plus 35 is equal to 53. And 35 plus 18 is 13, 4, 5. And yes, 53 is our answer. Check. Here's another. Marilla received a lot of texts yesterday. She counted 117 texts that came from her friends. That left 19 texts from her family. How many texts did she receive in total? Well, let's try to model this using an equation. We don't know how many texts that she received yesterday, so we're going to draw a big box and just leave it empty. However, we do know that she counted 117 texts that came from her friends, so we're going to put another box here for 117. And that left 19 texts from her family. So she had 19 left over. Now, the fact that it says that it left 19 texts indicates that we're taking something away from. So what we can do is subtract that right there. And that's going to be equal to 19. So there were some number of texts minus 117 from her friends gave 19 from her family. We'll replace that with an x, and we'll have our equation. So x minus 117 is equal to 19. Now we just have to solve the equation. X minus 117 is equal to 19. We have to get x all by itself, so we will begin by using inverse operations. We will add 117 to this side. That allows us to cross those off, leaving us with x plus 0, or just x. Since we added to the left side, we will add to the right side, 117. 9 plus 7 is 16. Carry our 1. That will be 3. And we'll wind up with 136. So let's check our answer. If x is equal to 136 minus 117, is that equal to 19? Well, here we go. We'll do it by hand. Minus 117. Can't get 7 from 6, so we borrow 1. That gives us 16, which is 9. 2 minus 1 is 1, leaves us with 19, and our answer is correct. X is equal to 136. Here's one more. Marcos bought a bag of gourmet lollipops. He wanted to give them as Christmas gifts to 12 of his friends. He gave 14 lollipops to each person. How many lollipops were in the bag? So that's our question. How many lollipops were in the bag? Well, we don't know, so we've got to solve this equation. So he bought a bag of gourmet lollipops. And he wanted to give them as Christmas gifts to 12 of his friends. So what's he going to have to do? He's going to have to divide this big bag of lollipops. He's going to have to divide them amongst his friends. So we'll take big bag of lollipops and we'll divide that among 12 friends. And each friend got 14 lollipops. There is our equation. X over 12 is equal to 14. And all we have to do is solve it. So we are currently dividing. So to use the inverse operation, we will multiply by 12. That will allow us to cancel these out because 12 over 12 divided by 12 is just 1, and 1 times x is just x. But whatever we do to the left side, we have to do also to the right side. So we have to multiply 14 times 12. So let's do that by hand instead of with a calculator. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. Bring our 0 down for our placeholder. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. Add them together and we get 168. So we'll check our answer. Is 168 divided by 12 equal to 14? Let's try it out. 12 goes into 168 one time. 12 times 1 is 12. Subtract here and we get 48. 12 goes into 48 four times, and indeed the answer is 14, so we know that we are correct. X is equal to 168. One last problem. Jaya is playing the new video game In Your Space. To beat his friend Leira, he has to score 104 points. He earns 13 points for each enemy ship he destroys. How many ships must he destroy to beat Leira? That is our question. Now, we know he has to score 104 points. And we know that he earns 13 points for each enemy ship he destroys. When we see for each, we know this is going to be multiplication. For every one of them, he's going to get 13 points. So we're going to have 13 times something, and it needs to equal 104. That is our equation. 13x is equal to 104. Well, then we have to divide to get x all by itself. Because we have multiplication, we'll use the inverse operation, which is 13. 13 divided by 13 is 1x, which is really just x. And that is equal to whatever we do on the left side, we have to do to the right side. So we'll divide by 13 here. 13 goes into 104 how many times? 8. 13 goes into 104 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 2 more is 10. And x is equal to 8. We'll check our answer. 13 times 8 is equal to 104. Is that true? 13 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. 8 times 1 is 8. Add the 2 and it's 104. Yes, it is. So we know that our answer is 8.